In a world drowning in noise, where truth is often buried beneath layers of propaganda and misinformation, there's a need for a different kind of a network of creators that cuts through the clutter, that doesn't shy away from tough topics, and that delivers the unfiltered truth. We are Trim Radio Network. We are creators, we are innovators, we are investigators. We're the ones who aren't afraid to call a spade a spade. If you're ready to participate in thought-provoking discussions, informational topics, and of course today's biggest headlines, subscribe to our YouTube channel today. We're Trim Radio Network. We're cutting the bull and serving the truth.
Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. You take the red pill, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, 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 take the red. You stay in Wonderland. You stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Now, from the northeast quadrant of the United States, it's the Red Pill Reality Show with your host, Riscalla. Saturday nights from 9 p.m. Eastern until midnight on the Trim Radio Network. You can join the conversation in any of our chat rooms. And now, without further ado, your host, Riscalla.
Hello and welcome, everyone. It is the Red Pill Reality Show. I am your host, Riscalla. It is an honor and a privilege to be with you tonight. Thank you for taking time to allow me to share with you some of the things I've run across. Tonight's going to be, I think it's going to be a little different than a regular show. I ran across some videos that really impressed me. And I have found that, of course, more and more of these AI videos are coming out. It's getting to be quite difficult to tell what's real and what's not real. But anyway, tonight I have the privilege of Josiah James coming on with me, and he's going to tell us a little bit about what he does. I find the individual amazing because this isn't what he does full time. This is what he does as a hobby, I guess you would call it a hobby. But the reaches of what he does are amazing. And so we'll have him on in just a few minutes. In the meantime, got a couple of things I want to bring up. One of them, let's see if I can find it here real quick. So those of you who have been paying attention to the skies, and you know that we are literally sprayed every day with God knows what. I mean, the most common elements are heavy metals, and the most common ones are aluminum, barium, and strontium. However, I have found that in reading more and more about it, they're finding it's not just those three. Sometimes they're actually spraying us with freaking blood. Why? Why would they do things like that? I ran across an attorney. Now, if this is the first time you've heard me mention this, then you haven't been listening to the radio, to my show very often. Started in radio about 10 years ago. But around 10 years ago, I was telling people about what was going on. They're spraying our skies. They're literally destroying our atmosphere. And it's all under the auspices of, well, the planet's warming up, and we're gonna stop the warming up by providing this umbrella over us, and that's going to stop the sun from coming down and heating everything up. Anybody got any neurons firing upstairs? Does anybody realize that the core of our planet is molten freaking rock? You're going to stop the... So anyway, that was their excuse. That was the the reasoning behind what they were doing. So I ran across an attorney who's he wants to take this to court. I think that's really going to be the bottom line. If you have been listening to any of the geoengineering reports, you will know that several states have, quote, banned the geoengineering for all the good it does. They're still doing it. Florida's one of them. Florida has outlawed it. Big deal. And what I've learned is that because when you get up to a certain height, I don't know what the number is, 30,000, 60,000, I don't know what it is. But at a certain height up there, it's considered international airways, similar to international seaways, international ocean. They get to do whatever you want on the international ocean. There's no laws. There's nobody to arrest you or any of that. So that's the understanding I have about when you get way up there like that. That's why they can pass all the laws and blah, 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 blah. It's not going to stop. I like the approach this guy's got, and I'd like to get your opinion. Here we go.
Hi, my name is Blake Horowitz. I'm a federal trial attorney. I've been a federal trial attorney for over 30 years, and I'm a member of a group called the Geofight. The Geofight is a group of attorneys and professionals, and our goal is to do everything we can to end geoengineering. What is geoengineering? Geoengineering is an attempt by private corporations and governments to actually change the Earth's weather. You heard what I said, that their goal is to actually change the Earth's weather. But what's happening right now? There's a company that has recently disclosed, as of 3 weeks ago, today is June 7th, 2026, and approximately 3 weeks ago on their own website, they disclosed that they have $75 million of backing, $75 million of investors, and they're going to be lobbying the U.S. Congress, U.S. government, for the purpose of getting permission to come into our airspace and change the weather. What do they want to do? They want to put up a particulate matter, it's a small little particles, it's otherwise known as contaminants, up into the Earth's atmosphere in order to block the sun's rays, to actually dim the sun, reduce the amount of sun that the Earth is receiving, and reduce the temperature of the entire Earth by 1.5 degrees Celsius. That's what they state. That's about almost 3 degrees Fahrenheit. So there's very significant consequences that can happen as a result of reducing the Earth's temperature by 1.5 degrees, as they've stated. But before I get into that, I'd like to talk a little bit about what it is for a private corporation to be engaged in such an activity. Private corporation in the United States has a duty to its investors. So if investors come up with $75 million, their goal, what they have to do by law, what they're supposed to do, is to make sure their investors get their money back. And if not just get their money back, to get it back with interest or a heck of a lot more. Stardust is asking for billions of dollars in order to undertake these activities. In other words, in order to change the Earth's weather, they're asking for governments to pay billions of dollars so they can put contaminant matter up into the air. No company, no private organization should have the right, should actually be ever considered to have to even potentially or have the right to control the Earth's weather. They're not to be trusted. They're a private organization. They're not a government, and even a governmental entity that's elected by the people. They don't have the right to try to change the Earth's weather. When have we ever trusted a major corporation with regards to a worldwide event? We don't. And in this instance, everybody needs to stand up and take notice that we cannot trust a private organization to engage in this matter. The second and more compelling problem associated with what Stardust is up to is the following. If they're actually able to change the Earth's weather by 1.5 degrees centigrade, approximately 3 degrees Fahrenheit, what do we know can happen? Well, history tells us that the Earth's weather in general, is very unpredictable. We all know that at any given time, a weatherman has a lot of difficulty predicting the weather. What's the weather going to be like tomorrow? What's the weather going to be like 3 days from now? What's it going to be like in this city, in this small town? They're kind of shooting from the hip. And what Stardust intends to do is predict the weather for the Earth. pretty unreasonable to suggest that such a thing can happen. But that is what they are selling us. That's the product that they're offering. What can happen with this? Well, as I mentioned, the Earth's weather is extremely unpredictable, and many events occur on Earth that are unpredictable, that we just do not know are going to happen. And one major example of this are volcanic eruptions. Volcanic eruptions are not something that we talk about too much in the United States, but they occur worldwide, and there's about 40 active volcanoes right now. So what can that mean? Well, believe it or not, and I didn't know this until I studied up on it very recently, that volcanic eruptions can actually change the Earth's temperature as well. Meaning when volcanoes erupt, when large volcanoes erupt, they can actually reduce the Earth's temperature by putting a cover around the Earth with what's otherwise known as particulate matter, or some form of ash, let's just call it. And that can actually also reduce the sun's rays. It actually cools the Earth, and a number of volcanoes have actually reduced the temperature of the Earth by 1 degree centigrade within recent history. So this is not something to be played with. And why is that? Because if the Earth's temperature is reduced by 1.5 degrees centigrade, which is what Stardust wants to do, and you add to that another 1 degree by a volcano, that's 2.5 degrees Celsius, or almost 5 degrees Fahrenheit. What can happen? Stop this video and you ask AI, Google, the internet, whatever you like, what can happen if there's a 2.5 degrees centigrade change in the temperature of the Earth within a 1 to 2 or even 3-year time period? The answer is a complete cataclysmic event. Hundreds of millions of people can die, up to 1 billion people. Why is that? The reason is that such a change would have a dramatic effect on the weather and our weather system and seasons, and that has a profound impact on our agriculture. Our agriculture cannot handle a 5 degree or 4.5 degree Fahrenheit temperature change or 2.5 degrees Celsius temperature change. It cannot handle it. And what will happen is that crops will not survive and farmers will not be able to put food on the table. So you are welcome to look all this up and don't believe this guy on this screen and just do the analysis yourself. Fortunately, we have a lot of information that's available at our fingertips. So what are we doing about it? What's this guy on the screen doing about it? And the group that he's associated with called the Geophyte. Well, what we've done is we put together a petition that we are asking everybody in the world to look at and for everybody to sign. Why? Because in many governments throughout the world, especially here in the United States and in European countries, in many governments, people are, or the government officials are actually responsive to the people's thoughts, to their wishes, to their needs, and they want to be elected. So I'm not saying that happens everywhere in the world, but it sure does happen in a lot. And if people can say, we do not consent, we do not consent to this activity, which is what this petition says with regards to Stardust and with regards to geoengineering. If the elected officials can be told that we do not consent, well, that can affect them. Meaning, if millions of people, millions and millions of people sign this, then the individuals from the various countries, the legislatures from the various countries, and here in the United States, from the various states and the federal government, if they learn that this is the whim of the people, well, that affects their vote. And we're asking that their vote be affected. We're asking that they have a very clear understanding that we, the people of this beautiful planet, do not consent. How do you sign up for this petition? You go to thegeophyte.com, go to the first page, and there's a little red banner. Click on that banner, and that'll bring you straight to the petition. Read the petition and sign it. Thank you very much for your time.
All right. Well, some information for those of you. Of course, I've already gone there. I've signed up. So, some information for those of you who want to do something about it. This this flag, he's got an attack for me tonight, I swear. This affects everybody. This affects everything. Everything. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether it's an animal or a fish. It doesn't matter. This affects everything. If you give a damn about our environment, go there, help support these people. We are in desperate need of someone to stand up to this. Been going on for way too long, way too long. And it has gotten to the point where even the media in movies, I've seen where they've gone back and edited movies and put frickin' chemical trails in there. We call them chemtrails for short, to make it look normal. It's not normal. When I grew up, none of this crap was in the air. We didn't see any of this. So if you feel led, I can't imagine why nobody would not feel led to move forward to help these people in any way we can. I'm going to, I sent this attorney an email. I would like to get him on the show. I would like to get as much exposure for him as possible. We need boots on the ground, so to speak. This is really, we're being attacked from, oh my God, from all different angles. And this is by design. And that's one of the things I found so interesting about the videos that Josiah was making. Kind of take your mind off all this crap. I mean, my God, okay, I got another one I want to play for you. Let me see how much time we got. Yeah, we got just about enough time to play this next one. This is Aaron Brockovich. Now, I know people are very familiar with that name. The other words that you're probably familiar with are data centers. Well, they're really not data centers. And I'm tired of people calling them data centers because that's the camouflage name. They're not data centers, they're surveillance centers. They're there to surveil the American people. And they're going up exponentially. People are waking up and saying, we don't want this. This isn't what we want in our backyard. And Aaron, being someone who has the popularity potential, has stepped in. And just a quick report. Let's see. Yeah, all right. Yeah, got enough time. This is about a 5.5, 6 minute long. I'm sorry. It doesn't tell me, but I think it's 6, maybe 7 minutes long. But it's important for people to understand. We are being attacked in every way you could possibly imagine. I just played for you a video about private corporations who are literally poisoning the air that we're breathing, okay? There are corporations that are poisoning what we call food. It's not food anymore. It's a conglomeration of chemicals that have been put together so you have a good taste, but is slowly destroying you. It's called a soft kill. So some of those companies have gotten in trouble and they're starting to back down a little bit, but that's tip of the iceberg. In the meantime, we have these, quote, data centers that are going up in order to surveil the American public. Not only are they dangerous for us in the sense of surveillance over us and a constant monitoring of everything that we do. And where's freedom? We'll put that aside for a moment, as important as it is. What about the environmental damage that these things? There are people who are standing up and saying, we can't have this anywhere near us. This is going to destroy billions of gallons of water. Okay, enough from me.
New today, residents are pushing back against the rapid growth of data centers for AI across the U.S. amid growing concerns about the environmental impacts on communities.
This is the beautiful city of Maysville. Oh, sorry, could you not hear me? That might just be the two pre-existing data centers right behind me.
Georgia Power is expecting all of the tax citizens and the landowners here to subsidize their project.
Go look into China and their data centers. They are using like windmills and not using water.
18 of these turbines back here, and they're wanting to put 41 in place.
And leading the charge is activist Aaron Brockovich, consumer advocate and environmental activist, who is joining me right now. Awfully good to have you back on the show, Aaron. Thanks for joining us. And look, everybody knows you famously battled a giant gas company as portrayed in that Oscar-winning film starring Julia Roberts. And now you are tackling AI. Prior to launching your website, Brockovich AI Data Center Reporting, you wrote, if data centers are so great, why are they being built in secret? How have companies managed to build hundreds of facilities under the radar? These things, I mean, they're huge, so many of them. You can't miss them.
Yeah, no. So, the whole thing started for me when I had 30 individual emails from one community about data centers. That's usually a signal for me that something's going on. And so I wanted to see the bigger picture about what was happening with data centers. So that's why we created the map. I was stunned within 3 days that 47, 48 states were reporting. And you just asked a great question, because that's exactly what they all started to report to me. How this happened. They had no idea. These proposals came through. They felt like it was in the middle of the night. They were secret. It was behind closed doors. So they became very concerned at that point. Why did we not know? What is the secret? What is the push? And they had no say in it. So that's what's really started so many of these communities across the country and their frustration about these data centers and how they got there.
And look, you've noted that you're not completely opposed to data centers. So what aspects of them are you against?
Oh, well, we're all concerned about data centers. I think there's a conversation here about AI and data centers. This isn't necessarily a conversation about AI. This is about the data centers and where you're placing them. And they're being placed on top of schools, on top of residents, in, hospitals, in locations. And again, you said these things are monstrous. And what's happening from proposal to construction to running. Let's talk about the non-disclosure that's really frustrated people. They're extraordinarily concerned about their water. They're extraordinarily concerned about their energy bills, which many people are now reporting in the facilities that are up and running. They are double and triple the electric bill. They're very concerned about all of this on top of an already strained infrastructure system. Not to mention, they're very worried about the land, what's happening to the wildlife, and most importantly, what is the future impact on their health, and the just enormous reports coming from people about the noise. They said it is so loud. This is a 24/7 situation, nonstop, just in your ear, humming, hissing, and buzzing. And people just feel like they're going crazy there.
So AI advocates say that these data centers are necessary for growth, and they will provide opportunities for technological advancement. They're going to create high-paying jobs. Is there a way for these centers to coexist with residents who share their communities with them? Do you see that happening?
Not at this size, and not if it continues to be secret, if not letting people have a voice at the table. Explain to me what this is. Not if their utility bills are going to go up, not if they're going to lose their water, or their well water's lower, or they're having to dig deeper wells. And no environmental impact studies, zero information, zero oversight. If we keep that going, I think they will collide and they won't get along. And, what I'm watching, and I don't like what I'm watching, is once again, we're doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Here was some new industry that's coming in with no, again, oversight, no studies or anything. It just gets rammed down your throat and you have to accept it. And then we're going to find out 5, 8, 10 years later, oh, oops, this was a really big mistake.
Hey, Josh, can you put back up her website that shows these data centers? Because, Erin, since starting your website in April, more than 3,600 AI data centers have been cataloged on this interactive map that we're showing here. Right now, there are more than 4,300 data centers nationwide. Have you heard from any of the big companies involved in the construction of these centers? And what can communities do to push back and be heard beyond your website?
So I have not heard from any of the IT, tech companies. And we've had over 8,000 individual submissions. And this is people reporting what's actually happening in their backyard. We've pinned now over 4,700 reports. We're backlogged in getting the reports on there. But what I am seeing, and I have never seen anything like this in my career, let alone it be the entire country, a bipartisan issue, but how they are organizing. They are educating themselves. They are networking together. They are informing themselves. And the one thing that they're doing is showing up. They are showing up across the country. And, we are now seeing about 79 plus municipalities who are putting on bans, moratoriums, pauses. We want more information. We'd like some studies. We're seeing states now doing the same thing. And that is all coming from the people, their voice, and showing up again in numbers about how important this is at a very local level to their city councils, that you hear us, that you see us, and why this is going to be a problem for us.
Let me remind viewers, if they're interested, the website is Brockovich AI Data Center reporting. Erin Brockovich, you keep on keeping on, and we're awfully glad for it. Thank you so much.
Like I said, we're being attacked from all angles, getting it from the air. Now we're going to suffer financially. We're going to suffer, who knows what we're going to end up paying for water. Some of the water that goes in these places is astronomical, just huge. And as they reported, the electric went up. So financially, we're going to suffer. And the part that really kind of just stabs me in the side is that we shell out a lot of this money for this. I'd like to use some colorful language, but you guys know me. I'd like to express myself in a way that you don't have to do that. But I'll tell you, the garbage that they're shoving down our throats. If we don't have people to stand up for this, we're going to be our children, our grandchildren, they're the ones who are going to be paying the price for this. This doesn't stop, in a year or so. This goes on and on and on and on. And the areas that they have reported where there are these, quote, data centers, they're reporting all kinds of ill side effects from this stuff. Headaches, a constant humming coming from these facilities. There's one facility, I'm going to say Texas, but I may be wrong. They were estimating, imagine this, they were estimating this facility is going to be larger than a city. My God, what are we going to do with all that? We got, how many acres of desert have we got out there? If you want these things so freaking bad, go out there, stick them out there. No, they got to be right in the middle of some of these places are right in the suburbs. I don't want to say in the middle of town because that wouldn't be accurate, but who knows? Maybe there are some smaller ones. But the big guys out in the suburbs, as big as a city. Good gravy. All right, I'm going to bring Josiah on in just a moment. I'm going to take a break just before we go. Let's see if I can find. Here we go. I think you guys will get a kick out of this one.
Just sit right back and you'll hear a tale of a fateful trip that started from this tropic port aboard this tiny ship. The mate was a mighty sailing man, the skipper brave and sure. 5 passengers set sail that day for a 3-hour tour. A 3-hour tour. A 3-hour tour. The weather started getting rough. The tiny ship was tossed. If not for the courage of the fearless crew, the minnow would be lost. ways, they're here for a long, long time. They'll have to make the best of things. It's an uphill climb. The first mate and his skipper too will do their very best to make the others comfortable in the tropic island nest. No phone, no lights, no motor car, not a single luxury. Like Robinson Crusoe, it's primitive as can be. So join us here each week, my friends. You're sure to get a smile from seven stranded castaways here on Gilligan's Island.
Bet you haven't heard that before. A new way of listening to Gilligan's Island. All right. It is an honor and a privilege to bring Josiah on. Welcome, my friend, to the Red Pill Reality Show. I hope all is well with you tonight.
Hey, Riscalla. Thanks for having me on.
This is really, I found your, we've had a couple of conversations across the email and then a couple of conversations across the audio and video. And I said to you that I found your videos so interesting because some of the ones I've seen anyway, they, if you're paying attention, they're giving you a message. But to the average person, it's like, oh, okay, that's funny. It's, it's satire. I'm going to kill this freaking fly. It's satire and blah, blah. So I've got a couple of them. I think about 5 of them that I've uploaded. And we'll play them here in a couple of minutes. But I want to get a little bit about you. As I mentioned in the monologue, this is not your full-time job. This is just out of curiosity, if you're free to tell me. And again, we haven't discussed this, prior to the show. But if you're free to tell me, what do you do full-time?
So full-time, I'm a software engineer.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
Yeah. So I build websites. Yeah.
Is it for a major company? Or?
A major company. Yes.
Wow.
I worked in the advertising business for over 20 years as a consultant, and then I switched over to like a major corporation. So went client side.
And so when you're not working, then you're devoting your time into making videos, which again, not to overdo it, but I think they're amazing because it's a unique way for me to see getting a message across. We can get messages across a variety of different ways. We use music, we use movies. But the short videos, because it's just a personal opinion, I think the attention span of people is getting shorter and shorter.
Oh, it is. Yeah, everyone has the TikTok 30 seconds.
And so, a 3 or 4, some of them are just seconds long, a half a minute long. It catches your attention. And
I had to split the one into 2 parts because it was so long.
I'll play that tonight. Yeah, that was the one that really caught my attention. Holy smokes!
I still want to like combine those into one full episode. It'll be about 15 minutes long.
Yeah.
But it is my side job. I do it for fun. It's all consuming because I'm a perfectionist and I want to get like everything right about it. So, and I'm also like a technologist, so I just love experimenting with the new tools and everything.
I'm on the page with you with regard to technology. When I was, I guess I was about 11 years old. The greatest thing back then, this was many moons ago when dinosaurs walked the face of the earth, if you listen to my children. The greatest thing to have back then was an AM radio with an extension antenna, and you listen to the radio. So this friend of mine came over and he had what I thought were 2 of them. And he was talking to me and blah blah blah, and he didn't say anything about what he had in his hand, and both the antennas were down. And finally, he says to me, "Have you ever seen one of these before?" And I said, "It's an AM radio." He says, "No, it's not an AM radio. It's a walkie-talkie." I didn't even know what a walkie. I'd never heard of a walkie-talkie. He said, "Take this," and pulled the antenna up, and turned it on. And he walked away, and he turned his on, and he said, "Oh, before he walked away, he said, press the button when I say over. When I say over, you press the button and say something, and then let go." Oh, I've never heard of it. So that started my my journey into electronics, and ever since then, it's just been a hunger that doesn't seem to, So I can get on the page with you with technology. Built my first computer in 1987.
Nice. Yeah, I build my own computers too. But yeah, there's actually the interesting thing about the walkie-talkie is they're still implementing that walkie-talkie feature on modern devices, right? Yeah. So like Apple's Watch has a walkie-talkie function, and if someone else, like my son has a watch, and we can walkie-talkie to each other, just push the button, and it's so cool.
The two-way radio, the walkie-talkie thing stuck with me so strong that even throughout, oh gosh, probably until I was 20 years old, I had a CB radio base station. I had a mobile. I just couldn't get over that technology. It was just something that caught me when I was a kid and turned me on, and I just could never turn away from it. So I realized what it can do for you. Some of the things that you have seen. Tell me some of the stuff that you're able to tell me that really surprised you about what's happening with technology and the AI.
Well, I am surprised at how fast it is moving.
That's scary.
And getting so authentic. So if we go back maybe two years, like I'm also I make films as well as like a hobby. So I
saw a short film that you made. Yeah.
Yeah. So in 2023, I won Best Director at the Allentown Film Festival. That was
awesome.
Non-AI.
Wow.
Thank you. And then in 2024, I submitted an AI music video that I made. I wanted to challenge the conception back then, which was not that long ago, 2 years ago, that you can't get emotion out of AI. And so I set out to make a music video by the artist Iron and Wine, a song called Beyond the Fence. And that premiered at the Jim Thorpe Film Festival. And looking back at that video, which was made with all AI and the tools that were available at that time, it's almost like primitive, night and day.
Wow.
What you can do
just
now.
A couple of years ago.
It was, just a couple of years ago. It's moving so fast. It's getting so good. It's actually scary. And as I was making these videos, I was like, man, I really shouldn't be able to, I shouldn't really be able to do this, recreate people's voices like this, because in the wrong hands, some more nefarious person could try to pass it off as real. And I'm sure that's going to happen in the political landscape and get someone in trouble. But it's with great power comes great responsibility, right? That the old saying. So
are you, as somebody who creates these things, are you someone who can distinguish right away as soon as you see something? Can you say within a couple of seconds that's
well,
great?
2 years ago, there were some great tells because like everyone had 6 or 7 fingers, right? And that was the dead giveaway that it was AI. But now they've fixed that, right? Now you can generate, a 10, 15-second video with a single prompt, and it looks very, 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 very real. It's getting harder and harder, and pretty soon it'll be almost impossible to distinguish. Like 6 years ago, I don't know if you saw this. A gentleman, I think it's Control Shift Face was the name. He put out a video of Bill Hader on a talk show doing an impression of Tom Cruise. And
what do they call that? Deep fake, I think they call it.
Yes, deep fake, exactly. And as Bill Hader was doing the impression, Control Shift Face had him turn into Tom Cruise, right?
Yeah.
Now, that was 6 years ago. And I looked into
it's already been 6 years.
Yeah. I looked into the technology back then, and there's you needed so much an enormous amount of computing power. You had to train all these models locally on your system, and it took days and days. But then when I went to start making these videos that I think you're going to show here, I didn't want to go down that route of like, listen, I don't want to spend hours and months training data. I just want to like, let's see how far this technology has come. And I was blown away that I could just do this in a browser, right?
Wow.
Online.
Wow.
With just simple prompts. And I'm also, I don't know, maybe I have a slight advantage because I went to school for graphic design. And so I know how to use Photoshop and Illustrator and all those tools. So I can probably, and I can do some audio engineering as well. And I also run a podcast. So I'm being a technologist. I have the tools that I guess can enable me to make the output look more professional in terms of the execution, right? Garbage in, garbage out. So you feed it something good, you'll get something good out. So,
I relate to that so strongly because the first computer that I had was a Commodore. I don't know if you're familiar with that. But that was it was called a Commodore 64.
Yeah.
And in order for you to, this was in the very early stages. They didn't really have software for it at the time, but they had programs that they taught you how to program this, how to do this and how to do that. All you had to do is have one character, just one character off, and the whole thing doesn't work. So I'm there with you with wanting to be the perfection.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
The interesting thing about, you mentioned programming, being a software engineer. So AI has also taken over pretty much our jobs as well.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
In terms of coding, right?
Yeah.
We now hand off the coding to the AI, and we manage it and prompt it, but developers aren't really writing code anymore. We're letting
when you're dealing with this particular subject, like this coding, are you instructing the AI, this is what I want, and then it makes up the codes for you?
Yeah, you give it features and sort of business rules, guidelines, guardrails, and again, it's trained on your code base, so it doesn't make mistakes. But yes, pretty much.
Wow.
It builds the code for you, and then you review it, obviously, and you can make changes. But yeah, it's getting to the point where software developers are going to be obsolete, along with a lot of other jobs. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that when all this started to get really crazy. I saw one of the first things I saw was, because I worked in computers for 27 years. I saw what was going to happen is maybe the technicians are down the road. They're not up front, but the writers and the software engineers are going to be some of the front line. They're going to be shot down right away.
Yeah. So thankfully at our company, we're embracing AI. And so we're using it to work for us rather than to replace us. So hopefully that stays that way
I pray it stays that way. I pray that they always need somebody with regard to being like a referee or a counselor of some sort.
Right.
Because they just can't step into the industry and say, okay, well, this is what we're going to do, and relieve everybody that was, involved in this thing, programming of this thing.
You need oversight. You need someone who has the knowledge of the code base, right?
Yeah.
It's not at the point now where you just push a button and ship it. And AI video generation isn't at the point where you just push a button and you generate this, amazing video. These videos that I'm making are taking hours and hours of inputs, outputs, drafts, redrafts, retakes after retakes to get it just right. And then bringing it all into my Adobe Premiere system and editing
think about that.
Yeah.
So for example, you tell it to do something, and on the first round, it does what you ask, but then you realize, oh, no, I don't want you to do this. So you go back and do it over.
You iterate, you tweak, and you're only getting, like, most of these systems only allow you 5-10 second clips at a time. So if you want a minute clip, right, you're doing that, 6-7 dozen times?
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a short one. I was talking about making a message. This is a short one. I think the guys will like, guys and gals.
Hello, do you have a reservation?
We used to, but white man took.
Yeah.
It gets the message across. It's true.
That's funny.
So and the quality. I'm going to play it. It's so short. The quality is amazing.
Hello, do you have a reservation?
We used to, but white man took.
God, it just like it's so simple yet so funny.
So, for example, now that one, which I think is about 8 seconds, 9 seconds long, how much effort do you have to put in?
That one was really quick, right?
Wow.
I think there was a couple generations to get the family to look Native American, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but that one was not as all consuming as. So I also am I write jokes as well, so that kind of helps when I can write some funny stuff into my videos.
So out of that one, that brief 8 second, I got a message that I have for many years said that the Native people who are here have not been treated fairly in any shape, way, or form. But done in, I've said that to many people, and some people are offended when I say that.
Really?
Yeah. Well, we're here. It's like what's happening in other countries.
I had to get to the point where it's very, and this is true with comedy and with everything that I do now. It's like I can't worry about who I offend anymore. I'm at
that age. Welcome to my world, brother.
Yeah, it's like, well, if you want to what are you canceling? What I don't know. I just I'm tired of walking on eggshells.
Yeah.
For people, and then that's why in like the basement, I kind of went balls out just to see how far I could take it.
Well, it's pretty cool. I'm going to wait a couple of minutes before I play that one, but I've got a couple of other ones. Let's see. I know I brought. Oh, here we go. This one I don't really. Maybe you have to explain this one to me because I'm not quite sure. But again, there's a message in this.
Are you ready to order?
Yes. Do you serve orange juice here?
Of course we do. They are sitting right over there.
By this one, I can see how people can be offended by this one because this one definitely is racist, right? It's the play on the words orange juice and orange juice. So I mean it's as simple as that. And is it offensive? Sure. It's funny. Yes.
I love it. I love the idea of taking something from your brain, something that you think about, putting it down into a form of some sort, either writing it or typing it or whatever, and then making that some way, shape, or form, making that come to life.
Yeah. Riscalla, that's my whole thing is what I love doing. And I can't say it better. But starting from a blank canvas, right?
Yeah.
You start with nothing.
Yeah.
In the end, you have whatever you're creating.
Yeah.
And that's what keeps driving me.
I've always admired that in people.
Yeah.
When I first opened my shop, I was next to a guy who was a custom furniture manufacturer, and I got to know him pretty well. And one day he came over and he literally had on a pad, he had scraped out some drawings. He said, "What does this look like to you?" I said, "Kind of like a bookcase." He goes, "Yeah, I'm going to go approach the owner and see if he likes it or not." So he approached the owner and he came back, and I didn't talk to him for a couple of days. And I guess about 3 or 4 days went by, and I saw him working in the shop, and I went in there. He's working. He's making this thing that came from paper, real. And oh my gosh, that just I admire that because there's not a lot of people, with relation to how many people are on the planet. There's not a lot of people that can do that. Can take it from a thought and make it live. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I commend you for that. That's awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, there's now these AI engines will take drawings, to your point. All you have to do is feed it a drawing and it'll turn it into a realistic looking thing.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm telling you, it's scary. It's very, very scary. There's got to be guardrails that people put on this thing, because I was just impersonating like people's voices, which I didn't think we were able to do. But they let me.
Well, I have a subscription to a company called 11 Labs, and they do voices.
Mm-hmm.
I understand they're expanding more and more, but I just do the voices because in the beginning, in my intro, you can hear that voice that's in there. That was done through 11 Labs. The guy talking.
Yeah, the AI voice. Yep, I recognized it. Yep.
So I know about the voices, but I guess because of my age and watching how technology has just gone berserko, I shouldn't be surprised, but I am. I really am surprised, and not to be religious or anything, but I remember somewhere in the Bible, I think it's in Revelation somewhere, where it talks about a beast or something, and people are talking to the beast, and the beast is talking back. I'm pretty sure something like that. That would, to me, would be this like chat. What is it? Chat GPT. I went on there and fooled with that a little bit. Holy smokes! I'm typing in a question, and this thing is answered like a human being. Freaked me out. I had to back away from that.
They're passing the Turing test. So yeah, you can't tell that it's a computer on the other side. Yeah.
So now it's progressed to video, where you can't even tell if the person is real or not.
Yeah. So yeah, 2 years ago it was prompting to make images with like tools like Midjourney and Stable Diffusion were the popular ones, right? And then now it's prompting to make videos, and pretty soon you'll be prompting to make entire movies, I guess.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. I can see, and it's not like I'm a prophet or a futurist or a psychic or anything, but I could see with the rate of progression that's happening. I relate it to you this way. As I became more and more involved in the computer industry, the technology was doubling initially it was doubling about every year, year and a half. And it got to the point where doubling almost every several months. I left it 5 years ago. So I'm sure that it's going a lot faster now. So in relation to that, with regard to the video, it's got to be this technology. It's technology that's expanding exponentially, so to speak. So I can imagine.
They're already putting out full-blown TV series that are built with nothing but AI.
Yeah, this thought just occurred to me, Josiah. Maybe we should start creating avatars and patenting those avatars, because in some time in the future there will be the actors. You follow what I'm saying? There'll be the actors in these movies.
Exactly.
And so you have an avatar that works for you. All you got to do is upload a file to somebody. Okay, now I want my money.
Yeah,
I can see that. Oh my gosh, I can see that.
I'm gonna send my avatar to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, while I stay home.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now I know some people are gonna think that's crazy, but just think about what we've talked about so far. It's inevitable. You're gonna have
celebrities are gonna pay a lot of money to clone their image and likeness.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have to license it to use it after they pass. Yeah. So yeah.
I could see that. Isn't that for me? That's a crazy thought. That is just nuts. Wow.
It is.
So you don't go physically to work anymore. They just call you up. Okay, we need your avatar. You upload your file, and then you collect your check. Holy smokes!
Yeah, it's like Ready Player One, right? You're in the Oasis.
Holy smokes! Wow. Well, let's see. I don't know if I have I have another one. This one is, and this again. This is I just like the humor that's in this.
Okay.
I don't know why this.
Who keeps taking my straw? What is that music?
Yeah. So that was like this trend on TikTok where people were, I'm sure you've seen it, where they have like a I don't know, you see like a midget throwing a javelin, and then it cuts to a dude getting stabbed with a toothpick, stuff like that. Yeah, so that's where I kind of got that idea from. I was like, yeah, let me try something like that.
But again, it's real. It looks so real that somebody who wasn't up to date with today's technology would say it was real. That was, oh my God, it was a midget, and they're making fun of midgets,
Yeah, I just bought a new house, and it's like right on the river, and I made an AI video of water bursting, a pipe bursting in my basement and flooding my basement, and I posted it. And a lot of people thought it was real. I'm like, yeah, they said buy a house by the river, it'll work out. And then it was not real, but it looked real.
I wonder if you called the insurance company.
Oh yeah, gosh, I didn't even think about that. Like insurance scams, insurance fraud.
Wow, some of the things that are going to come up with this is just nuts.
Send me pictures of your wrecked vehicle. Yeah, and then you could just generate it. Wow. Yeah, that's scary. It is.
All right, I'm going to play part 1. This is called Pete Fiction. The Basement is the name of this.
Oh, should we give can I give a little context around this?
Sure.
Pete Fiction thing?
Yeah.
So I started down this path of when Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, was giving a speech at the Pentagon, and said a prayer, right? And I don't know if you heard this, the headline where he said, I'm now going to quote Ezekiel, the Bible, right?
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah.
No, he was quoting
something out of a movie.
he was quoting the famous monologue that Samuel L. Jackson gives in Pulp Fiction, right? So me being a movie buff, I was like, okay, well, I love Tarantino films. I love Pulp Fiction. And let me see what I can do with AI. So the first AI video I did in sort of the political landscape was called Pete Fiction, because his name's Pete, and it was a play on Pulp Fiction. And so the first one I did was called Ezekiel 25:17. And I understand, you don't want to play it here. That's fine, because there's obviously anything with Samuel L. Jackson is R-rated, right? But that was the first one where I took Pete Hegseth, and I was just experimenting, like, how real can I make this? And I took Pete Hegseth and I put him in the Pulp Fiction world. I had him in that apartment in the chair.
This is so nuts.
Samuel L. Jackson talking to him, and him, like cowering. And I even like cloned his voice, and it was amazing. And so that got a huge reaction. I think over 750,000 views or something in like a week.
Imagine.
And all the comments on social media were like, do another one. Gotta keep going. I'm like, realize
I was one of them.
It's so easy to just be like, yeah, do another one. Yeah. But meanwhile, I'm over here like, oh my God, this is taking forever. Right. So I was like, all right, let's give the people what they want. Right. So the next one I did. So Kash Patel made a cameo in Ezekiel 25:17. So someone said, I think I had a vote or something like, what should the next scene be? They're like, you got to do Kash Patel in the car, right? So that was the next one that I did, which is also not safe for work. And again, I'm making these, and I'm like, okay, how far can I take this? And it's satire. Can I blow this guy's brains out in the car and have it be funny, right? And not have the FBI knocking on my door. So, and then after that one, people kept saying, you got to do 47. And I just didn't want to touch it. But they kept saying, you got to do Trump. You got to do 47. So that's how this basement scene came together, because everyone was like, you got to do Trump. And so this was my attempt to do Trump in the Pete Fiction world.
I think it's awesome.
Well, bring out the wimp.
But sir, the wimp is sleeping. Do we really want to disturb his slumber?
Well, I guess you'll just have to go and wake him up now, won't you? Wait, before you go, what do you think of this? I wrote a little tune. I'm the best guitar player in the world. Nobody plays guitar better than me. Okay, here goes. All right, stop, dominate, and listen. ICE is back with a brand new division. An agent grabs a hold of you tightly, beats you, and shoots you daily and nightly. Will it ever stop? I don't know. I'm too busy installing a gold statue of me at Mar-a-Lago. Ice, ice, baby. Isn't ice amazing? First it's water, but then you freeze it and you get ice. It's really something. And they said it couldn't be done, but we did it. Yeah. Get down, you little wimp, before I stick my toadstool in your mouth. Say MAGA.
MAGA.
Say I'm a wimpy gimpy.
I'm a wimpy gimpy.
Say ballroom.
Ballroom.
Say I want a bigger ballroom.
I want a bigger ballroom.
Put your hand in my pocket.
Yes, master.
Yeah, now keep it there.
Master, this feels crazy.
Move your hand to the right a little, and you'll feel nuts. Goddamn, JD, you look like an immigrant.
Which one of them do you want to do first?
I ain't for sure yet, JD's nuts in my mouth. Eeny, meeny, miny, Melania, catch a MAGA by its tall tails. If he hollers, let him Joe. Biden, itsy bitsy tiny penis. If I am in the Epstein files, I will start a war with Iran to Uzbekistan to Pakistan, my Afghanistan. I like little kids, and you are it.
I guess that means you, Lady Liberty. I hope you don't mind statutory rape.
You want to do it in here?
No, let's take him back there in Don Jr.'s old room.
Sounds good to me.
You keep an eye on this one.
Awesome.
Wow. Yeah, that was a lot of work. That was a lot of work.
Now, for example, now that one, how many hours do you think you put in for that?
Oh my God, that was a couple weeks. That one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just working nights and weekends, and I didn't even get to do all the gags that I wanted to do in that one. At first, I just had JD Vance. The first draft of that was just JD Vance normal, and then I was like, I don't know, let me have him play licking a shotgun or something, and then I was like, oh, let me have the shotgun accidentally go off, and maybe. That's when I had the idea of making his face like almost like blackface, right? Yeah. So that was the gag there. So then I had already done all the scenes, rendered all the scenes with him without blackface. Then I got the idea to do that joke. So I redid all the scenes with him as blackface. I just thought it was funnier that way. And then when I have him kissing Stephen Miller, I actually wanted him to say a line, "You taste like my couch." But like, at some point you have to surrender, right? And just be like, put it out there. I wanted to get it out, and I couldn't keep adding all these things. But I had a lot of fun with that one. And there was a debate. Like originally it wasn't going to be a 2-parter, but I just kept adding and adding, and it kept getting longer and longer. And I was talking to my buddy, and I was like, I don't know. Do I split it into 2 parts? He's like, I think you kind of have to. You can't. It's going back to like people's attention span, right? You can't put out a 15-minute video and expect them to be engaged. So I put out a part 1, and then I put out a part 2. So
we'll play part 2 shortly. I think that what really blew my mind about watching it was the quality. And I go back to what we discussed earlier. There's going to be movies like that. I'm telling you, we just watched a miniature movie, right?
Yeah,
it's 5 minutes, right? I think it's about 5 minutes long.
7 minutes, yeah, something like that. People on the comments on social media were like, "Oh my God, you need to be a writer for SNL." And, I was like, they don't. What they do at SNL isn't really comedy when they're making fun of Trump. They just are copying exactly what happened, and it's just not funny. Like, to me anyway. Obviously comedy is subjective, but when you're just taking what they did and not really changing it that much, I don't think that's it's doing it a disservice, I think. So
for people whose eyes are open and understand what's happening in the political realm, the idea of him taking Lady Liberty off into the back room.
That was a big decision. Like, all right, I knew I wanted Bruce Willis to be Joe Biden, and I was like, all right, well, who should Marcellus Wallace be? Who? And then I was like, can I make it a statue? I mean, oh my gosh, can you imagine? Can I make that look real? And so it took some tweaking. And I was like, can I give a statue a ball gag? I don't know. Because a lot of times these engines, right, they'll censor you. And a lot of times it would get flagged like, hey, this is not safe for work. So I had to trick the engine into letting me like, no, it's not this. It's actually this. And then
now that is exactly is why they're going to continue to need people like you.
Right.
Exactly what, really, seriously.
Yeah.
Because unless you have the experience and you understand the technology, truly understand, I call it fluent. If you're fluent in that technology, then you can do what you're talking about. But somebody just can't walk in and go, okay, I can take care of this for you because I've used AI in another application.
Right. Like you can't just write a prompt and generate that 7-minute video.
Yeah.
You can't. That is hours and hours and weeks of 10, 15-second clips at a time, cutting them together. But that's just round 1. So first you do the video, then you have to do their voice.
Oh, wow.
That's round 2. And then you have to use another engine to lip sync to make it look like they're actually saying it.
Wow.
So there's like 3 or 4 different rounds before you even have your final video. And then when it's final, it's only 10 seconds. But then you got to master the sound and all that stuff. And still not perfect, right? There's echoes and stuff.
So when you're doing this, you make the video and the video is silent. The lips are moving, but the video is silent. Is that correct? The first rep.
Sometimes the lips will be moving and they're not saying anything, or sometimes they'll just be a different voice, right?
I see.
And then
you have to go in and change it to the correct voice.
Correct. Yep.
And then you have to sync it. Holy smokes!
Yeah. So you have to generate a separate audio file, and then you have to sync it with the video. Yeah. So it's a lot of work. A lot of steps. Yeah. So you kind of need to know the tools and, to your point, be fluent, right?
Yeah.
To be able to generate something, I think, at this level. But
you know what? Like I said, I'm not a what would you call me? I'm not a prophet or psychic or anything, but I could see you in the future being a director, a movie director of AI movies.
I would love that.
You're already there.
Yeah.
I'm serious. You're already. So the only thing holding you back at this point, of course, is like everybody else. You got to make a living, right?
Right.
While you're doing this. So the major thing holding you back is you have to continue doing what you're doing in order to make a living. So you continue. But I could see, seriously, I could see you as a director, Josiah James, director of AI videos, AI movies. The videos are gone, and now it's going to be movies. I really see that for you, my friend. Wow.
Wow, that would be amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think that it's going to come to pass because of somebody who loves what they're doing is willing to put in what we would call work, but actually it's a devotion. It's
labor of love.
I want to see this the way that that I have it in my mind. I want to see that. I relate back to my friend that was the custom furniture manufacturer. He would spend, oh my God, all kinds of hours getting the details in there. Of course, he got paid premium for it. But the point being is that he loved what he was doing. If he was just a nonchalant guy, he could have scrapped out something and passed it on. But that's not who he was. He wanted, like you mentioned earlier, you're crazy about the quality. You want this and you want that. He was like that.
Yeah. No, I haven't made any money off of these, and it's a labor of love, right? I would love to get to the point where they do generate, like a passive income or
so
something.
How were you able to make a 5 minute on one, and I think it's 8 minutes on the other one? How were you able to be able to get away with? Was it a bunch of small ones all put together? Is that how you did that?
Yeah, small ones.
Holy moly, man!
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a bunch of
I have an idea of
10, 15-second clips, right?
Wow.
So do the math.
Wow.
Yeah, you should see my folder of assets. It's deep.
Wow. Well, I commend you. Now I have a better idea. See, my thought was, of course, I'm ignorant in this particular subject, but my thought was, you sit at a computer and you say, okay, I want this guy on, I want that guy on, I want him to say this, I want him to say that, enter, and all of a sudden it just starts computing all of this and putting it together for you.
Yeah, I wish it was
not like that at all.
Yeah, because sometimes I would have to cover half the frame in black, so the AI would ignore what's over here, and I could get the AI to just focus on what I wanted it to do with these people over here. Because sometimes AI, it just goes off, and they call them hallucinations, right? It'll just go off and change stuff that you didn't ask it to do, right? So to prevent that, I would have to remove stuff. And then now I have, like, in one instance, I had 3 different frames from the same scene that I had to then combine as one video, right? And
I knew everything. See, you're just backing up what I told you about being a director. I'm telling you, I had no idea what was involved. Like I said earlier, I just thought it was you sit at a keyboard and do this, that, and the other, and hit enter. I had no idea the amount of the depth of work that is required. You're already doing it. You're already there, and now you all got to do is, for seconds at a time to make an hour-long movie, that would be forever. But
yeah, people are like, we want to see the full Pete Fiction movie. I'm like, no,
I'm
not doing that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, I'm going to play the second part. You want any intro about the second part?
Yeah. So the second part, again, this is like, how far can I take this? I was talking to a very good friend of mine, and while I'm making this, I'm like, dude, I'm texting him like, yo, this is insane. I just, turned Lady Liberty into this, whatever. I had her being dragged into a back room, right? And again, the subtle message of the president dragging our freedom into the back room and taking it from us. So, I wasn't sure the direction I was going to go in part 2, and I was saying to my buddy, I was like, can I slice the vice president? Can I do that? And he's like, sure, why not? I'm like, okay. And then, so I worked on that scene. And then I got to the president scene. I was like, okay, should I turn the president into a beast or a werewolf and he's like, And so I had that decision to make. And I was like, I can't kill the president on my video, right? He's like, no, absolutely not. You cannot. So I was like, all right, I'm going to tread carefully on this one, right? Because what this administration is capable of, or you don't know. So, but then Trump put out an AI video of him dumping Stephen Colbert in a trash dumpster. I don't know if you saw this. He posted it on his Truth Social. It was because it was his Stephen Colbert's last show, and Trump comes out, picks up Colbert, and dumps him in a dumpster. So after that video came out, my buddy says, okay, it's game on. You can do whatever you want to Trump. And I was like, all right, he gave me the blessing. Now this is payback, I guess, right? So we can fight back now.
Wow. I just did a quick math. So this particular link, this movie, this particular video, let me get that out of my mouth correctly, is about 8.5 seconds long.
8.5 minutes.
Excuse me, 8.5. Yeah. 8 minutes and 30 seconds long. I just took the 8 minutes. That's 480 seconds. And you're only able to do 10 at a time?
10, 15 seconds at a time, yeah.
Holy moly. So just let's say 10 to round it. That's 48 times just before you even do any fine tuning or anything. It's 48 times just to the upload and oh, geez.
And then it's the getting the consistent characters between those takes too, because it's a separate render. So is the AI going to reference the same image the same way? Is it going to interpret it the same way?
Yeah.
So a lot of times it doesn't, right? So you're doing it again.
You have to go back and fine tune. Oh, you did this, and I don't remove that. Oh, wow.
Yeah, and at some point, and it's my buddy's famous line is, you never finish a project, you surrender to it. So I surrendered to this one after trying,
awesome work, dude. The more that I'm learning here, the more I'm finding out that this is not anywhere near what I thought it was like at all. It's a tremendous amount of work to get this. But I can see, as we discussed earlier, as the technology increases, it's going to become easier and easier. And for someone like you'll be in the pilot seat to be I'm serious now. I know it's repetitive, but I'm telling you, I can see you as a director, as a movie director.
I would love to do
you're doing
I try to do an offshoot of like a sketch comedy, but with AI, So like Saturday Night Live, but it's funny and it's with AI characters. I just don't know if people are ready for that yet. But yeah, I wanted to do something like AI sketch comedy because you could do it as one person could do it. I could do it.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You're the tech crew. You're the director. You're your assistant director.
Exactly. I mean, the actors, all that. And the writer.
That's awesome.
Exactly.
That's freaking awesome. All right, here we go. This is called Pete Fiction, The Basement Part 2 now.
JD, help me move this statue into the corner. God damn, this thing is heavy. Maybe I can move it with my fat body.
Yeah. Give it a good shove. Really put your weight into it.
You want those files, don't you, shitbag? Go ahead and pick them up. Go ahead and pick them up. Come on, attaboy. Go ahead and pick them up. I want you to pick them up. Tell me something, son. Why did Stormy Daniels call you Toadstool?
Biden? Sleepy Joe Biden? You know I won that election, right?
Why are you still calling me Sleepy Joe Biden when my name clearly is Barack Hussein Obama?
Obama? Nobody fools a fool.
And your ass just got Scooby-Dooed. You dumb, raping ass, colostomy bag wearing, orange Cheeto, orangutan looking stupid ass bitch.
Step aside, Joe Obama.
Nice shot, Liberty, but he's still moving.
I'll be back.
Now, where do you think he went?
Hopefully back to hell.
More like Mar-a-Lago, am I right?
I think that's the same place.
Yo, speaking of the house, you got something to say?
I didn't see anything, so I can't comment.
Too funny. You know what's amazing to me is I'm watching this, all the little details, all the little, oh my gosh, just so many. One of the things that stood out was when he was shot and he's down on the floor, and what comes out of him kind of resembles like a Venom, the movie Venom. You know, I'm familiar with that.
Oh yes, yes.
So it kind of sort of looks like Venom coming out of his spine, right?
Yes,
and the
yes.
details that are involved in that. So, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, he can only do 10 or 15 seconds at a time. Wow.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah, there's some Easter eggs in there. So like, you know, when Joe Biden goes upstairs and he grabs the keys off the counter, right?
Yeah.
I swapped out the keychain to say MAGA rather than Zed. And then, you know, the samurai sword has the Ezekiel 86 47 on it, right? So things that you might not catch at the first viewing. But yeah, a lot of the stuff, I think my favorite part is the Scooby-Doo reveal. When I thought of that, I was just like, oh my gosh, maybe what if Joe Biden is actually, you know, Obama? How funny would that be?
Many of us felt that it was really Obama. I can't remember the number of visits, but there was an extreme number of visits by Obama to the White House during the Biden administration.
Okay.
And then as he pulls the thing off, we know that there are skin masks where people can wear, you know, a mask and look just like somebody else. So it's just telltale, you know, one message after another. Again.
Yeah, and then I got the idea what if the torch on Lady Liberty turns into an RPG? That would be cool, right? And then when I had Trump pissing his pants, I want to be like, how can I humiliate him? You know, all right, he's gonna piss his pants.
That's
and then when he's
talking about the details, you know, put this, you know, get this to show. It's just wow.
Yeah, because then once I had him pissing himself, I then had to add that puddle to the scenes that I already created because I wanted it to be consistent. So I wanted him to be rolling around in a puddle of his own piss. And I wanted, when he transformed into the beast, I wanted him to, how funny would that be if he came back in and slurped up his own pee, you know? And then a happy accident was like the black stuff dripping from the beast's mouth like that. The AI engine just did that on its own. I was like, okay, well, that could just be oil, right?
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's when I first thought. Yeah.
The Strait of Hormuz. That's kind of
the fight for the freaking oil. Yeah.
Yep.
That's exactly what I thought when I saw that.
Yeah. Now that was something that, you know, just happened, and it was a nice, you know, happy accident.
Maybe AI knows.
The AI knows. Yeah. And originally I had a different version of the beast where it was, you know, just a beast. And I was like, well, it'd be great if I could give the beast some characteristics of number 47. That's when I thought of like, okay, he's got to have the hair, right? It's got to be, you got to put the hair on it so you know that that's who it is. And then when he does his dance, right, like that is taking motion capture. So I took a video of Trump at a rally doing this.
Oh wow!
Feed it into the engine.
You got it to do that?
Yeah, that's how you get it to do that. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's pretty amazing what already. So like what I'm explaining is all these different tools that I'm using. It's not all in one toolbox. I got to go to
learning here. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have got to know enough to be able to, oh, if I want a lip sync to be realistic, I got to go over here. If I want ambient sounds, I got to go over here. So it's a lot of different tools, and you got to put them all together. And that's how I made that one.
Well, my commend to you for that. That's just, what's going through my mind as I'm talking to you is that this guy only can get 10 to 15 seconds at a pop, and we're looking at 8 minutes.
Yeah, and if you look closely, you could see, it's not seamless, right? And that's where you kind of just have to be like, all right, it's good enough.
You know that it's not real to begin with, so
right. So when Biden's about to leave the shop, there's a couple cuts because they're different clips, right? And so, but I did the best I could with it.
I think it's awesome.
Thank you.
Truly awesome. And it's a heck of a way to get a message across it for those who are paying attention.
Yeah. The one thing I wanted to say was I was like, all right, can I really show him, sodomizing Lady Liberty? Can I show that? How do I get away with that without Facebook taking it down or getting sanctioned or whatever, censored? I was like, I know. They're actually just moving the statue.
Yeah.
That's how I'll get away with it, right?
Yeah.
They're moving it across the room, and it'll look like that, but it's, they're actually just moving it.
Yeah. You get the message, and the underlying message is what I have, seen from what's going on. It's Lady Liberty is getting the screw job. She really is. We, the people, are getting screw job. The stuff that I voted for is not happening. I was somebody who voted for this guy. I looked at the choice that we had, and I said, "Holy smokes! Do I want a former call girl, or do I want a con man?" Geez,
Yeah.
So I went with this guy because I like what he said, but unfortunately, he convinced me that he wasn't a politician. But the more time goes on, the more convinced I am he's an absolute politician.
And I don't like people are saying that this is a political video. I was like, it's not really a political video. It has political characters in it, but it's more a comedy, satire, parody.
The message is true, though. So it's not really political. If you're passing on a message that is true, and as you mentioned, it's political characters, but if the message is true, what difference does it make if it refers to a political or non-political that's true? We are losing our freedom here in this country rapidly. It's very scary what's happening, especially with these AI centers. They call them, data centers. They're not data centers. They're mass surveillance centers, and they're going up exponentially all over the place. Why do they need all this all of a sudden? Out of the clear blue. Here's something I meant to ask you earlier. Have you experienced any of this called quantum computing? Have you had anything to do with that?
I'm familiar with the term and what it is, but that's about it.
So I read a little bit about this thing called quantum computing, and according to, I don't know if this is true or not, but according to this report that I read, what takes an AI now minutes to do, this thing can do in seconds. And the reason I was reading about it is I was looking up all the garbage that comes with these data centers, right? And this report was saying, well, we may not need all these data centers because if we can get the computing, this quantum computing going, trying to remember how they describe it. They said what the size of a chest of drawers could take the place of a huge AI center, a huge data center, with this quantum computing. And the way they described it was, with the AI is doing several thousand computations at a second. This thing does billions of computations at a second. So I can see where this is going to come in later on, and relating to you, you'll be able to. This will make the quality that you're looking for in the time that you want.
Yeah, I guess that's another component that we didn't talk about is the render time, right? So as you're feeding it these reference images, and you have to wait for it to generate these videos, right? It's happening in a server in a data center somewhere that's being cooled by water, right? But you don't really, when it gets to the quantum computing level, I'm not going to have to wait that long.
Right.
Right. It'll be
almost instantaneous.
But then, all right, so it's probably going to take even more cooling to cool the quantum computers, right? So
according to this report, it wasn't.
No?
Because it's done in a different way. It's not.
Okay.
It's
Well,
not
that's
really.
good.
They're not relying on the chip technology. I wish I could remember it all. It's just the joy of being 73 years old. I get up and walk out of the room, and I can't remember what the heck I walked out for. But it was because that was one of my questions. So what if we bring this in? It's still going to use all this garbage, and according to the report, no, it doesn't. It's a different, completely different way. I've got to get more educated on it so I can really explain it better. But from what I understand, it's a completely different way of computing.
Yeah, I know Google have been working on the quantum computing computer for a long, long time now, and they keep saying that they're close, but they've been saying that for 10 years.
Well, so I was in the service during the Vietnam War. What I witnessed, the point I'm trying to make is the government probably has what you're talking about.
Oh, they probably
had it for quite a while. So this is back in the 70s. In 1970, we had drones that were remotely controlled by computers. 1970 now, that were remotely controlled by computers on the ground. Our jet fighters were mounted with lasers to shoot at these drones. So we didn't want to destroy the drones. The drones had sensors on them. And when you hit the sensor, you got a certain amount of points. And this is how our fighters, our fighter pilots honed their skills, because these drones would do all kinds of maneuvers and they chase the drones and blah, 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 blah. But my point being is 1970, we had computers that were remotely controlling aircraft up in the air. So you can imagine how far the technology has come. Now we're in 2026. And what you're talking about, I have no doubt in my mind, they already have it. They just don't want to release it to us.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah. They just give us enough to keep us busy, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what it boils down to. Just enough to keep them turning the wheel to the right or keep them turning the wheel to the left, but don't ever allow them to ask, why are we turning the wheel?
Right.
Wow. So anything else you'd like to share with me tonight?
I don't think so. I think we covered a lot. I do appreciate you having me on, and
I think it was awesome to have you. I have learned so much from you in the short term that because I had this vision in my mind that it was pretty much just, like I mentioned earlier, not to be redundant, but just, sitting at a keyboard, blah, 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 do this, do that, and it's done. Now, after you explained to me, my gosh, 8 minutes. And how many times did he have to go back? And then all the little details when they're dragging the statue across the floor and you see it scraping the floor. Things like that. Oh, wow, he's like I said, you're the director, dude. You're already doing it.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'll I'm still planning on putting part 1 and part 2 together as one, so you can look forward to that. And then I put out the that orange juice video afterwards because I didn't want everything to be political, right? Because I have other things to offer, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't want to get too bogged down because in that rabbit hole. But I have a lot of ideas, and hopefully I can keep sharing them with everyone and they keep enjoying them. So thank you.
People, did you have a website? I don't remember if you have. Do you have a website?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, jokesbyjoe.com.
Okay, say it slowly so people can catch it.
Jokesbyjoe.com, and it's Joe without an E, so just J-O.
So spell it out.
JOKESBYJO.com.
Okay.
Yep.
I think that's where I found you. It was either that or YouTube. I don't
Could have been YouTube. Yeah. I mean, these, the first version of the basement, I originally had called it, I was getting too creative, I think, with it. I had originally called it Make America Gimp Again. Okay. And it was, and I think the Facebook algorithm was suppressing it because of the word gimp. So then I had to change it to the basement, which that's fine. Whatever there's some certain things you gotta let go, right? But
this is my MAGA right here.
Mislead America. Nice. Yeah.
That's what happened. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. No new wars. Yeah. Right. Look at where
That's
we're
what
at.
happened to. That's what happened to Lady Liberty and Pete Fiction.
It's ridiculous. It's sad, and
Yeah.
I see this particularly happening faster and faster. Maybe not exponentially, but faster and faster since 2001. 2001 was like we went over a cliff, and it's just slow motion in my mind of going down the bottom. We're headed to the bottom.
Yeah.
Unless we make some serious changes, and videos like this help for people like me, at least, help to get a message across. In a way
it's
that's
like
not, it's not threatening. It's not a threatening way, right?
Yeah, it's two-sided. Like it's a nice distraction, right?
Yeah.
Sort of entertainment. But yeah, it's entertainment for some, and for others, it's, I guess, sort of message or a wake-up call. Or
I read the message. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's like, again, the scene where Lady Liberty's bent over, and you get the idea of what's happening. This is what's happening today. Between all of the things that's going on, and they're trying to keep us busy with this and that and the other, our freedoms are slowly being, taken from us.
Yeah, that's the scene. I saved that scene for last because I wasn't sure I was going to include it because of the censors and the algorithms. But when I found the workaround, I was like, all right, it's staying in.
I'm glad you left it in because it's an important message. People need to know. This guy who, when I try to have a discussion about this with somebody who's a Trump supporter, they start to point out, well, he did this and he did that and he did the other, all these things that he's done. I said, well, so you're telling me that if a criminal comes to your house, washes your dishes and your clothes and all that, but then rips you off, that's okay? You're that's all right with you, right?
Yeah, that's funny. That's a really funny analogy. Like, yeah, I'll give you a little story. My dad was visiting me for the weekend, and he was telling me stories of the hazing that he went through when he was pledging a fraternity. This was, I think it was SIGTA or whatever. And the things that they made him go through to just become part of that fraternity is just awful. And he's explaining like the, them getting completely, I don't know, were you in a fraternity? Did you go through a hell week?
You just brought back some memories, man. I'll tell you what.
Yeah. But like, I don't know how vivid I can get here, but 20 pledgers, they all had to get naked and they're in a circle, hands and knees. And he's like, I had a masking tape from his nose to the guy's butt in front of him. And then they slowly had to crawl in a circle. And if the tape got disconnected, the pledge brothers would come in, they would shorten it and then reattach it.
Oh,
right. So eventually you can imagine 20 dudes with their noses in each other's asses just in a circle. And then after that, there was a radish race, right? Where they had to carry a radish between their cheeks. And then it was like a relay race. They had to pass it to the other guy. And if whoever dropped the radish had to eat it. I was like, Dad, why would you want to be a part of this? And then he said he got beat with a canoe paddle. I was like, oh my gosh, Dad. So did you get into the fraternity? He's like, yeah, I did. But a week later, I quit. I said, why did you quit? He said, because they wouldn't let me run around with my best friend. I was like, what?
Because he's not in the fraternity.
Yeah, he wasn't in the fraternity.
Yeah.
So I was making a joke, like, to your point, yeah, you'll let a thief come in your house and do this, do that. But, Dad, you let them do this, you let them do that. But, I can't hang out with my best friend. That's where I draw the line. Come on. This is ridiculous.
We did some crazy stuff. I'll tell you one, I'll keep it as clean as I can. One of the things that we did, first of all, it's called Hell Night. I don't know if that's what.
Hell Night, yep.
And so we went to this bridge, which is about 20, 25 feet off of the water. salt water down below. This was in Florida. And we went out this late at night, early in the morning, about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, hardly any traffic. The pledge would have to take their pants off, and he was giving a kite string to tie around his privates. And then he was to hold, and the other end of the kite string was tied around a block, a brick, a building block. And he was to throw it over the bridge, and he had a pair of scissors, and he was to cut this before the thing got too tight to hurt. What they didn't know is that it wasn't a full string, it was cut somewhere. But the emotions.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And they couldn't cut it in time, and they start crying and screaming.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we did some crazy stuff. Yeah.
That's hilarious. Yeah, crazy no radishes stuff. Though, right?
I completely forgot about that until you just mentioned what you said.
Yeah, you didn't eat any radishes though, right?
No, we didn't do it. But we were more violent. Back then I've given testimony many times when I went to school. There were several times, probably a handful of times, when somebody pulled up in school and had a rifle in the back of their car. No big deal. John Smith come to the office, and I'd see John Smith a couple of days later. I said, "What'd you do, dude?" I left my rifle in the back, loaded, mind you, chambered, ready to go because they go hunting afterwards.
Yeah.
Left my rifle in the back of the pickup truck, right on the window where you can see it. Nobody broke in the truck. Nobody was. And they gave me a suspension, 2-day suspension, not to come back with the rifle. Make sure that the rifle, he said, the counselor said, "Look, if you're going to bring the rifle, make sure nobody can see it."
Oh my gosh.
But my point being is that back then, a lot of these kids had 30-06s. These are high-powered rifles, right? Nobody thought about killing anybody. You can beat the snot out of somebody. I mean, just beat them to a pulp, but you're not to kill them.
Right. I got suspended for wearing a hat to school. Oh
my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. How times change.
Yeah. And that happened probably 4 or 5 times when I was in high school. Didn't call the cops. Wasn't a SWAT team. No helicopters. It wasn't the news. It wasn't even on the news.
Yeah.
The only people that probably knew was the school and the kid's parents. Make sure that your kid doesn't come to school with a loaded freaking high-powered rifle. That's just.
Yeah, that's one topic that
has changed.
One topic I probably won't cover in AI. I don't know. It's that's a tricky one.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you, man. I really appreciate the education that I got tonight.
Thanks for inviting me on. It was great to. Thanks for sharing my videos.
Oh, awesome! Really appreciate it. Sometime in the future, I want you to come back because I know you're going to be doing more and more of these things, and we'll go over.
Yeah, maybe I can do some screen sharing and show you some tricks.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That would be great. Right. Again, I commend you for what you're doing. I had no idea the amount of work. I keep going through my mind, 8 minutes and 10 to 15 seconds at a time.
Mm-hmm.
That's just to upload. Now you've got all the fine tuning in that. I know it's redundant, but the scraping of the statue across the floor and the gravel and to make it look like it's it's fake, but it's so real.
Yeah, you want to keep them immersed, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, God bless you, my friend. It's been an honor and a privilege to have you on, and I'm looking forward. We do it again.
Yeah, thank you so much.
God bless. See ya.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Good night. All right, guys, make sure you go to his website and take a look. He's got a whole bunch more. There's a couple of them that I wanted to play, but they were kind of vulgar. So you guys know how I feel about the transmitting vulgarity. You want to watch it, that's your privilege. But I try to keep away from a lot of vulgarity on the show. There are times when I wish I could explain it in a more colorful way, but that's neither here nor there. All right, going to take another break. I think you'll like this one as well. This is by Crimson Horizon. There we go.
Hey, your leaders have failed you. They take everything from you. They have lied. Tyrants on thrones with their miniature children of dominance echoing loud, broadcasting lies through a venomous sound. Israel built empires, controlling the crowd with tiny gold crowns while the missiles come down. Our end's patience have come to its end. They will bomb tyrants once again. Thunder responding to years of decay. Crimson horizon is flooding with rain. Pride in their towers beginning to crack. Now the fire of justice is striking them back. Cathedrals of power where tyrants prayed evil, preaching supremacy over the people, claiming their bloodline was born to be rebel, while freedom of speech and voice is illegal. Kneeling to shadows, they swear at pride evil, selling the masses a prophecy sequel. Israel kept chanting their doctrine of evil, while rockets kept falling on peaceful people. Our end's patience have come to its end. They will bomb tyrants once again. Thunder responding to years of the pain. Crimson horizon is spreading with rain. Pride in their towers beginning to crack. Now the fire of justice is striking them Now the resistance is ready to fight. After enduring the years of the night, truth in the temples they tried to ignite, while propaganda kept killing the light. Israel kept preaching their arrogant right, saying the kingdom was holy and bright. Now the horizon erupts into the light, justice descending to settle the fight. Our end's patience have come to its end. They will bomb tyrants once again. Thunder responding to decades of pain, storming the heavens like rivers of rain. Crowns of their arrogance starting to crack. Now the fire of justice is
Isn't it amazing how you can use a video to get a message across? Those of you who have heard me before, you know that I'm not sticking up for Iran. I'm sticking up for the truth. We have become the bullies of the world. This is not the first time I've said this. Many years ago, 2002, I was telling people, I wasn't on the air back then, but my friends and people that I come in contact with, our country is becoming the bully of the world. Can't you see what's going on? We went to Afghanistan. We went to Iraq. We went to Libya. We went to Syria. We went to Yemen. went to Somalia. And then we have a general who's telling us, listen, I've seen documents that say we're going to take over 7 countries in 5 years. All planned, not because any of them represented a threat to us, but because we're able to do it. And I've had people tell me, where do you get this information from, Riscalla? That's ridiculous. Why would we do that? It's difficult for the average person to wrap their mind around the true evil that is in this world. If you want to, no, I'm not going to, I was going to say, if you want to get a picture of how bad things are, go read some of the Epstein files. I can't read them anymore. I can't deal with it. It is so horrific. I had to walk away from it because the thoughts would not leave my mind of what I'm reading. So why would they do that? Because there's sick people in the world. That's why. But yeah, we've had documented evidence that this country had plans to overcome 7 countries in 5 years. You listen, you come to your own conclusion. And this is a former general who worked in the intelligence agencies.
About 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the Joint Staff who used to work for me.
I want you to pay attention to something, please. Listen to who he says who is last on the list. That's why I'm playing this. Listen to who he says is last on the list.
About 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the Joint Staff who used to work for me. And one of the generals called me and he said, "Sir, you got to come in. You got to come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, "No." He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, "We're going to war with Iraq. Why?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "I guess they don't know what else to do." So I said, "Well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al-Qaeda?" He said, No. He says, "There's nothing new that way. They've just made the decision to go to war with Iraq." He said, "I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we've got a good military and we can take down governments." And he said, "I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail." So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, "Are we still going to war with Iraq?" And he said, "Oh, it's worse than that." He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, and he said, I just got this down from upstairs," meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, "This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran." The truth is about the Middle East is, had there been no oil there, it would be like Africa. Nobody is threatening to intervene in Africa. The problem is the opposite. We keep asking for people to intervene and stop it. And there's no question that the presence of petroleum throughout the region has sparked great power involvement. Whether that was the specific motivation for the coup or not, I can't tell you, but there's always been this attitude that somehow we could intervene and use force in the region.
General Wesley Clark. Did you hear who he said who was last? Finishing off with who? Who are you going to finish off with? And here we are, finishing off with Iran. So I've had discussions with friends of mine who were former Trump supporters, and they've asked me my position, and I said I cannot continue to support this president knowing what I know. And here's what I know. This is fact. This is not opinion. This is documented. You can find this just in a brief search online. What started the crack in the dam for me was about 6 to 8 months into the presidency. I was not seeing any arrests. And I was saying, I'm on the air, I said, why hasn't there been any arrests? And I would get answers on, somebody would, in the chat room or on Facebook, would leave me a message. Well, the reason that you're not seeing any arrests yet is the wheels of justice turn slow. You have to be patient. A year goes by, still nothing. Finally, the Epstein files come out. But I find out that they're not all coming out. Only certain ones are coming out. And I'm thinking to myself, I remember him saying, if I get in office, or when I'm in office, one of the two, I'm paraphrasing, I may not be exact on the words, but the message is the same. When he got into office, he was going to release the files. And I'm finding that he's not releasing all of the files, releasing some of the files, but not all of them. The crack gets bigger. He does I don't know if this is the one. Okay, he does a news briefing, right? This is short. I don't know if he says what I'm going to say. Let's see.
Mr. President, I know you've urged people to move on, but I'm curious, why do you think your supporters in particular have been so interested in the Epstein story and so upset about how it's been handled? Why do you think that is?
Why they would be so interested. He's dead for a long time. He was never a big factor in terms of life. I don't understand what the interest or what the fascination is. I really don't. And the credible information's been given. Don't forget, we went through years of the Mueller witch hunt and all of the different things, the Steele dossier, which was all fake. All that information was fake. But I don't understand why the Jeffrey Epstein case would be of interest to anybody. It's pretty boring stuff. It's sordid, but it's boring. And I don't understand why it keeps going. I think, well, really only pretty bad people, including fake news, want to keep something like that going. But credible information, let them give it. Anything that's credible, I would say, let them have it.
That wasn't the one. But the guy standing next to him, by the way, I can't remember that dipstick's name. Yeah. Howard Lutnick, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. That's Howard Lutnick. The same Howard Lutnick that when I was reading some of the Epstein files, the same Howard Lutnick that wrote an email to Jeffrey Epstein asking him, hey, Jeffrey, again, paraphrasing, hey, Jeffrey, where are you? We're in the area. We want to come by and visit and blah, 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 blah. I need your coordinates so I can give them to my pilot or my captain. I don't remember one of the two. And we'll come see you. Oh, by the way, I have another couple with me. I can't remember their name. And I have children with me. I have a 14-year-old, a 7-year-old, or some other stuff. Yeah, that's the guy standing next to the president. Not I have so-and-so's children with me. I have children. I got a couple of 7-year-olds. I got, it's sick. So as the crack continued to grow, Mr. Trump said, first of all, he said it's boring. There's nothing boring about any of that stuff. It's disgusting. It's unspeakable, some of the things. It's horrific. It's worse than the most vile horror film that you've ever watched. Throw that aside. I don't know what it is with this fly tonight. Ooh, looky here. Bonsai. I got him. A little burger. Oh, maybe I didn't get him. He's still flying around. So it's not just boring. But what caused the crack to get bigger between me and him is when he said it's time to move on. There's one of these interviews he gave. It's time to move on. No, sir, it's not time to move on. I can't move on. I can't move on with a little bit that I read, just a small amount that I read. There's no way I'm going to move on. So I'm not going to allow it to die. I'm going to continue to speak about it. And the crack in the dam continued to grow. Then he went to Venezuela and he kidnapped the president of Venezuela. And I'm thinking to myself, why do we do that? The president of, I want to say Portugal, I may be wrong. President of another country was arrested under the same charges as the president of Venezuela. And Trump pardoned him. So why did we, again, sticking our nose in other people's business? Oh, because Riscalla, you don't understand, Venezuela's providing all kinds of drugs and blah, 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 blah. We know it's coming from China. Hello. We're not doing anything to China, but we're going to go to Venezuela. Okay. Crack gets a little bit bigger in the dam. I don't like the idea of us involving ourselves into another country. We were going to make America great again, and the way we were going to do that is devote our attention here. Here. We have infrastructure that's falling apart. We need help here. We have people who are homeless that shouldn't be homeless. We need help here. We have veterans, and the latest number now, thank you, God, I appreciate it, down to 17 a day. 17 is one is unacceptable. It was at 22 for the longest time, so it's come down some, but we need help here. We have homeless people, homeless veterans. We have elderly that need help financially. Instead, what has happened is that we're constantly being barraged with price increases. Everything has become more expensive. There was a time I remember him saying, I'm going to have gas down to $2. It's still almost $4 a gallon here where I'm at. And it went up from the time that he went into office. It didn't go down. Curiously enough, I don't know enough about this subject, so I don't want to sound like I know everything about it. But it was weird because right after he got elected, the price went down. The price went down like, oh my gosh, probably 20 cents a gallon. We were at, I don't remember. I think close to $3 a gallon. Little booger lovely. And then it went right back up, like 3 or 4 days later, it went right back up. That was weird. I thought it was, hey, now that he's in office, there's more confidence in the supplies, and so the price is going to go down. No, that's not what happened at all. I don't know what happened. That's not it. So the crack continued to grow. Then we went to Iran. When he bombed Iran, that pretty much broke it for me. What was the final touch was to find out that some of the initial strikes were children's school, and hundreds of children were killed. Now I can understand that was a mistake. I would hope and I pray that there aren't people within our government that purposely would kill children. I hope and pray I'm right. But then I find out that not only was it struck once, it was struck twice. They waited for the rescue people to come in, hit it again. And then later on, a third missile hit so close by it continued to do damage to the existing school. That was what was left of it. Never an apology. The missiles that were used have cameras on them. Are you listening? The missiles have cameras on them. And the cameras show exactly where these missiles are going. The missiles are coordinated through a global network of satellites and coordinates. So they knew exactly what they were doing when they hit the school. They knew they were hitting a school. What excuse is there for that? I've had somebody tell me, oh, well, the the Iranian terrorists were below the school, so they had to hit the school. Please. Do you remember what I said? The last country on the list, documented list of 7 countries, 5 years. They didn't make the 5-year part, but they damn sure hit the 7. The last one was Iran. This president knew about that. There's no way he did not know about that. And so when he took office, he knew in some time in the future, I'm going to go to war with Iran. He knew it. To find out that we went to war on behalf of another country. We're going to shed American blood for another country. Because no matter what they tell you, the truth is, Iran wasn't a threat to us, per se. Iran was a threat to Israel, and Israel didn't like it. And why did Iran be a threat to Israel? Because Iran wouldn't stand by and do nothing or say nothing while Israel's committing genocide. The only country that's sticking up to stop the genocide is Iran. Go figure. As Israel continues to literally decimate what's left of Gaza, they're not happy with that. Now they've moved into Lebanon. How did Lebanon all of a sudden become Israel? And we're backing Israel. We're backing a country that has openly committed genocide before the world. There are 132 countries that have filed grievances against Israel for what they've done. Not us. The prime minister has an arrest warrant issued for him by the international courts. We're supporting them. So in the discussion that I've had with people about, well, Trump is not a pedophile. He's not into files like that. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt because I've read more than someone who tells me something like that, because I've seen it. But I'm going to put that aside for a minute. Let's just give him, for this conversation, the benefit of the doubt. He's not in the files in the horrific manner that some of these children were treated. What makes him any different than them if he's protecting him? Even if he didn't do any of that stuff, he's openly admitted he's protecting them. No, maybe not open. He's openly admitted to certain people, and those people have come forward. Maybe that's more accurate. I can't have the files released, Marjorie, because it will hurt my friends. There's a saying about eagles, or not eagles, birds of a feather flock together. Eagles fly high. Birds of a feather flock together. These are your friends. These are the people that you're protecting. That some of the stuff that I read, I physically got sick. I couldn't go to sleep that night, even after taking a sleep aid, because of the images that were in my brain that I couldn't release. They just haunted me. You're protecting the people that did these things. And just to give you an idea of some of the things that I read, just the tip of the iceberg. If I can do this without being emotional. There was one file that described a young girl in the age approximately 13 or 14 years old. 2 men, one on each side of her, holding her legs open. They describe her face appears to had been beaten. She's bleeding from the nose and the mouth area. She's also bleeding from her vaginal area. I'm not going to go any further than that. Don't need to go any further than that. That right there should stop. There's another file. that talks about how one particular baby was still hooked to the umbilical cord while they performed sex. These can't be human beings. They can't be. Now, if you think these are made up, these are files that are coming from the FBI, intelligence agencies, police reports. It's not mine. It's not. I'm not making it up. There's another one. It's an email from, I don't think they released the name, to Epstein, describing how they enjoyed the dinner, and especially the kids that they ate. I don't recall the wording that they used, but basically the children that they ate. They kidnapped the children. They torture them to the point where they have heart failure or they're going to die from fright. Drain their blood while it's full of adrenaline. Drink the blood and cook the children and eat the children. And then they compliment each other on how good the intestines tasted. These can't be human beings. So that completely broke the dam for me. He's protecting people that are doing things, and this is still going on. This is still happening. You don't kid yourself. And just because he's done all these good things over here, in my book, doesn't give him, all right, well, you can pass, go. You don't have to pay your $200 and you don't go to jail. No. If you're protecting people who did these unspeakable horrors to children, you are just as bad as they are. You deserve to be wherever they're going to go, if and when they ever get frickin' prosecuted. So that kind of just stopped my support, because I can't do that. You combine that with supporting a country that is committing genocide, openly committing genocide. Combine the two of them, I don't know how anybody can support this president, as long as he's in the position that I'm not going to release any more files. He's already made that clear. And we're going to continue to support Israel. Not only are we going to continue to support, here's something else now that just happened recently that I'm finding out about. They want to integrate our military with their military. So what is it going to, is it like these Lego videos that I'm seeing? It'll be the United States of Israel? Is that what we're talking about? So yes, there's things that have happened, and I can no longer support this man. I can't support, so don't think I'm supporting Democrats. I've had it. I'm done. Republicans, Democrats, F you all. You're criminals. And I think there's a handful of them, maybe a handful of them, that give a damn about you and me. The rest of them, the only people they care about is where the money is coming from. And it's pretty obvious at this point. I can't support this garbage anymore. And I would tell people, don't stop feeding the beast, the system. Stop feeding it. You take that whatever way you want. I'm not feeding it anymore. In whatever way I can, I'm not feeding that beast anymore. Because it's no longer representing of what I want. They take our money, they give it to anybody, just about anybody. They brought in people from other countries and paid them more than people who have paid into the system and that are retired and collecting Social Security. They're getting what, $1,600, $1,800 a month. Meanwhile, these freaking people are getting $4,000, $5,000 a month. Some of them are staying at high-end hotels. You think the government is on our side? And I was hoping and praying that what I heard coming from Donald Trump was going to be that we're going to take the power. I'm going to paraphrase, and we're not going to just take the power from one administration to another. We're going to take it from this administration to you, the people, as he said. So where's the power at, pal? Nobody consulted me before you wanted to continue to give money to Ukraine, which we know is corrupt. Billions of dollars going to Ukraine, billions of dollars going to Israel, God knows how many other places. We're going to get $5,000 stimulus. You're going to get a $2,000 stimulus. We found all this money that the government has wasted. What good did it do? You found it. Big deal. They're still wasting it. in the meantime, we're literally having an open air prison built before our eyes. All these data centers that they're talking about. I mentioned to you earlier, they're not data centers, they're surveillance centers. And they're there to monitor American citizens. They're building an open air prison for us. You've heard about the smart cities. 15 minutes. Anything further than that, you have to have permission. Think about that. There goes our freedom. I mentioned to you earlier, from the time that we were struck at 9/11 in 2001 until now, I have watched our freedoms literally being stolen from us under the auspices of, we're going to keep you secure. I'm no more secure now than I was then. So I see the deception. I'm sad that he has become a politician. I believe that he was not a politician. I thought that he was going to be the disruptor. I really believed that he would be the disruptor. As he went in and did first round, pretty much disrupted quite, one thing I will give him credit for. Had it not been for Donald Trump, I don't think any of this, let me back up a minute. Had it not been for Donald Trump, I think the majority of what we're seeing today would still be silent, still be secret. We would not know about it, the majority of it. So I give him credit for exposing it. Whether that was part of the plan, I don't know. But all I can tell you is when I hear statements coming from him, some of the craziest, do I have that one? I don't have that one. He was making a statement about saying something to the effect of, these were bad people, but I love them. I'll support them. Something, I wish I had uploaded, something to that effect. That even though he knows there are bad people, he's going to, because they love him, because they treat him well, he's going to support them. It's quite disturbing. It's quite disturbing. And I think what's more disturbing is there are people who are, what I would think are awake, but then you bring up the subject, oh, you have TDS, buddy. You got Trump derangement syndrome. I voted for the guy. How can you not see what I'm saying? Did he not say, let me back up. Let me put it this way. Did Donald Trump ever say, prior to being elected, one of the things that he was going to do is support no new wars? That was a strong point for me because I've seen the lies that got us into all these other wars. I was sick of it. And I think a lot of people feel like I feel. I hope I'm right. We're sick of it. We're sick of going to war. Why? What threat did Afghanistan create? What threat did Iraq create? What threat did Libya create? What threat did Syria create? What threat did Yemen create? What threat did Somalia create? These are little ants compared to a freaking giant. It's all about making money. Really, I mean, what's all boils down to making money. We go into Afghanistan, they have precious minerals. We have Afghanistan's farmers begin to farm opium for the first time in 2000, because prior to that, they were farming. They were doing farm vegetables and food. No, we're going to have them farm freaking opium so we can destroy somebody's society, whoever's. I think the thought was that the majority of the opium was going to go to China or Russia. I don't recall, one of the two. And we want to destroy their society. So what do you think China's doing with the fentanyl? That's what I'm saying. You can't continue to be the bully and not expect something to come back and bite you in the proverbial behind. So we went to Afghanistan. Why? One man, they told us it was one guy, Osama bin Laden, right? It was Osama bin Laden. And he was hiding in a cave on a satellite phone, and he overcame the most powerful defensive system on the planet, if not one of the most. I believe it's probably the most. So somehow, on a satellite phone, this guy talks to, I don't know, what is it, 14, 15, whatever, 19 people, and he has convinced them that they're going to take airliners and fly them into buildings. Take the aircraft, fly them into a building. So one man, the whole freaking country has to suffer for that? And how long were we there, by the way? 20 some odd years? And what did we get out of the whole deal? Then we moved on to Iraq. Weapons of mass destruction. Still there, looking for the weapons of mass destruction. We're going to free the Iraqi people. The only thing you freed them from was a somewhat normal life to hell on earth. That's what you freed them from. Like jumping out of the frying pan right into the fire. That's what you freed them from. Now, Iraq wasn't good enough. We went to Libya. I wish people would take the time to look at pictures of Iraq before we decided to introduce democracy. Take a good look at the pictures from Libya before we decided to introduce our democracy, or Syria before we decided to introduce our democracy. Take a good look at what we've done. So we decided, well, now we're in Iraq. We're going to free the people. Iraqi freedom, remember? That's what it was called. Iraqi freedom. We're still there. Freeing them from what? What are we freeing them from? Meanwhile, we're losing our precious children over there, spending, God knows how many billions of dollars. Oh, but we're making it back, Riscalla. How are we making it back? We're taking percentage of the oil. So the oil companies make a profit. They pay the freaking politicians. See how that works? So we got bored with Iraq and decided, hey, it's time to move on. All right, here we come, Libya. Oil. You remember what General Clark was saying? If these places didn't have oil, we probably... Libya, oil. Syria, oil. Somalia, I don't know if they have oil. Yemen, I think they have oil, but I don't know. Basically, the major ones that we went after, oil. Yeah, oil. Oil and gold. Don't forget the gold. The first thing that they did when they went into Iraq was to plunder the oil, the gold. Plunder all of the gold that they could get. Went in the museums, got all the artifacts, pictures of, God, looks like, I don't know, maybe hundreds of bricks of gold. They don't talk about that. Went into Libya and did the same thing. Now, if either one of these, Iraq or Libya, they may have created within themselves a real threat to us, but it wasn't to us physically. It was to our financial system. Because what we have is a system that prints money out of the air. Time to print another $100 billion. Print another $100 billion. Every time that they do that, the value of our dollar goes down. So these two countries decided they were going to introduce what is called gold-backed currency. What does that mean? Do I have that? I think I have this. Okay, look carefully here. Look at the dollar that's on the right, on the bottom right. So if you look at the top is pretty much the same on the top. There's not a whole bunch of difference between the two. Look at the bottom right. Look at the area that is squared off in green. You see what it says? It says silver certificate. Look across from that, to the left of that, the area marked off in red. You see what it says? Federal Reserve note. So what's the difference, Riscalla? The difference is if there was a time when I could take the dollar, the paper dollar that's on the right that says silver certificate, I could take that to the bank and I could get a silver dollar. That silver dollar was 0.999 silver, and of that dollar, of the 100% of the metal in that dollar, 0.8 something, I don't recall, 897 or almost 9/10 of it was silver. 999 silver. That silver dollar today would fetch you somewhere in the neighborhood of $40 to $50 if you just took it and melted it down. That's illegal, but the point I'm trying to make is just the silver itself is worth 40 times what we have today. If you look at the dollar bill on the right, look at the bottom where it says $1. I don't know if you can read it, but it says $1 in silver payable to the bearer on demand. $1 in silver payable to the bearer on demand. You don't have anything like that to the left. Look at the dollar on the left with the square on the bottom. $1. Here you go, buddy. Here's your dollar. So what happened was during the time when they were printing silver certificates, they could only print what they had to back up with. They couldn't print money out of, quote, the air. They had to print money where they had reserves. Today, since we don't have that, they can print however much money they want. The result is, like I mentioned to you earlier, one of those dollars back then would buy 30 to 40 of our dollars today. Do we work less hard than we work? We probably work more today than we worked back then. This is how families back then, if they so chose, they could have one of the partners working outside the home while the other partner worked in the home. They could still take a vacation. They could still have a nice home. They could still have a nice car. Some even had a second home and vacation home. How could they do that? Can't do it today. It takes both of them working, and they're barely able to meet the rent. And if they have children, they're not able to raise the children themselves. They have to give them to some stranger in some place where hopefully they're going to treat their children as though they were their own. You see how twisted it's all become? So growing up for me, it was quite common for us to have 5 to 6 dinners a night around the table discussing something. We didn't have cell phones. We had landlines, and one particular, and it was pretty well known, you don't call during dinner time, right? I mean, it wasn't written or anything. It's just, hey, it's dinner time. Don't call anybody. We got a call during dinner one time. This is something that you who don't have landlines, you don't get this vilification. No, that's not the word I'm looking for. You get this satisfaction. So we're having dinner discussing something. I don't recall what it was. The phone rings. My dad happened to be next to the phone, picks up the phone and says, "We're eating dinner." Click. After the click, there's something you could do back then you can't do now. Take the phone off the hook. And when they call, they get a busy signal. No voicemail. No transfer to your cell phone. No. You get none of that stuff. You get me. You don't get that satisfaction today. So back in those days, we would have usually 6 days a week, sometimes even 7 days a week. We would have dinner together. We would discuss things. We were a family. We were a central unit. And it was that was the experience that I'm trying to figure out how to put it in words where it makes sense. That was the experience that caused me to have my best friend's my brother. When my parents, God bless them, when they passed away and left us a little small amount of money and we had to go to the bank and get it, the lady said, "I've never seen anybody act like you two. You're not at each other's throat." "No, he's my brother. Why? Why would I be at his throat?" She said, I want to commend you, literally commend you on your behavior, because she had to deal with some really rotten people. As soon as money gets involved, it changes people somehow. I don't know how. But those who are not, they're not focused on the more important things. They're focused strictly on the money. Holy smokes, man. So she praised us. I said, well, you know where the praise goes is to our parents, because it was our parents that gave us these values. And those values, I'm sad to say, are few and far between nowadays. And it's by design. It's by design of people within our government that are passing all kinds of legislation that we don't know about. How many of you knew about data centers before this blew up? There are already data centers built. I don't know how many of you realize that. Before all this nonsense started, that they're pushing. And why do they have to be in secret? Now, I just read a report yesterday, and I can't confirm this, but if this is true, this is more crap that this president is pulling. According to this report, he's going to specify that the data centers are going to be military outlets. If they're military outlets, they can put them wherever the hell they want. They don't have to worry about code. They don't have to worry about destroying the environment. They're military outlets. And what would a military outlet that is gathering data, what significance does that mean to the civilian public? I told you, they're not data centers. These are mass surveillance centers, and we should be doing everything we can. Just like I keep bringing up the Epstein files. I caught so much crap online because I see somebody post something and I say, well, what about the Epstein files? Oh, you got TDS. Why do I have TDS if I'm asking a legitimate question? Can't have discussions anymore. This is by design. They've designed it that way. It's either black or it's white. You can't have anything in between. You may agree with 1 out of 10 things from somebody, but because it's only one, they want you to be at odds with each other as though it's your life depends on it. This is probably the greatest design that we have to overcome, because they've had thousands of years to figure out how to control people, how to get people to swallow a pill that they otherwise wouldn't swallow. We can't call it a surveillance center. People would know. We'll call it a data center because we talk about data all the time. It's no big deal, data. You go online, you give them your email, you give them your cell phone number. That's the data. Yeah, no. They're talking about in 27 having cars that have AI, what would they call facial recognition? Why? More intrusion into your lives. Because at some point, and I've heard this for the last, I don't know, maybe 8 or 9 years, so it's going to happen. They keep talking about the digital. We're going to go digital. We're going to go. Let me tell you something. They go digital, your freedom is 100% gone at that point. It's already 90% gone because there's certain areas where they can just shut you off anyway. If you have your money in the bank, it doesn't matter how much money you have in the bank and it's yours. If they say shut him off, then you shut you off. You're done. Until they say, okay, you can open him back up again. They did it to, what's that guy's name? He's a rap artist. I can't think of his name. Millions of dollars they cut off. And he come out in public just because I supported Trump, or I said something. I don't recall what the deal was. Yeah, they cut him off. I don't know if they opened it back up again, but hey, this is so if they cut him off there, if he had cash on hand, then he could at least do some stuff if he had cash on hand. But once the cash is gone, we're done. They cut you off, you're done. For some people today, if they cut you off, you're done because they don't have any cash. They've fixed the system in such a manner that both parties have to work and struggle in order to make ends meet. Just to have a roof over their head and food on the table and maybe some clothes on their back. Forget the vacation. Forget buying a home. They've made it outrageous. It's unbelievable. In the area that I was living in Florida before I left, the last county I was in Florida was West Palm Beach. Now, I stayed in that county for almost 30 years. During that time, particularly probably the last 3 or 4 years of that time, things just went absolutely haywire, kaputski nuts. The house that I was living in, when I moved into that house, the value of that house would have probably been maybe $225,000 because it's a nice neighborhood, really nice neighborhood. I moved there because it reminded me of the neighborhood I grew up in, Coral Gables in Florida, in Miami. Very similar to Coral Gables. That same house now would probably go for close to $1 million. The rent went from some places, the rent went from $1,400 to double, particularly within the last 3 to 4 years. Just jumping. If you didn't have a lease, if you were on a month-to-month, they were raising your rent every 2 or 3 months. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. No, it's greed is what it boils down to. These people have had these homes for decades. So everything that they're pulling out of it is almost pure profit. But the point I'm trying to make to you is that they make things so expensive, all by design. So what happens is people can no longer afford to live where they're living. They have to move. They have to go somewhere else. They have to lower their quality of life. Thank God for me, that's not the case. But I know people who had to lower their quality. They had to, what do they call it? Something down. We're gonna. I can't think of the word. Anyway, and they had to basically lower their quality of life. They had to move to a smaller place, have less things, have less luxuries, because they can't afford them anymore. Things have gotten so expensive. Why? Because of this insanity. If we had the dollar that was on the right today, imagine whatever you're making. Let's say you're somebody who's stuck making, I don't know what the minimum wage is, $7.58 for some stupid thing. Let's just say it's $7 on just round numbers. Let's say it's $10. Let's say it's $10 an hour is the minimum wage. Maybe it's more than that. I just need to use round numbers to make it easy. Imagine that times, let's say 30. 30 times 10. What is that, 300? So now imagine that you're making $300 an hour on whatever you're doing. Does gas going up to $4 a gallon upset you? Does the cost of your mortgage go up to $2,500? You follow what I'm saying? But because they have rigged the system, so to speak, and they have printed dollars that are the dollars on the left, a reserve note instead of the dollar on the right, a certificate, they can get away with it. And in the process of getting away with it, they collect the profits. And they're continuing to do it today. It's still happening. I mentioned to you earlier, hundreds, let me back up. I'll just say billions, because I know it's at least in the tens of billions, maybe in the hundreds of billions. Billions of dollars, billions, given to people we know are criminals. We know are criminals. I found out that the money that we give to Israel, I don't know why we give Israel anything, but hey, we give them all of this money. It's to support their government. We support the government of Israel. Come to find out, the money that's going to Ukraine. We're supporting the government of Ukraine. Nobody sees anything wrong with this. I got people over here that I personally know that are suffering because of decisions that were made by people that have, as a result, have cost us a lot more than we can afford. I know people who are suffering. I have kids that want to buy a house. They're going down. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to buy a house. You know how heartbreaking that is? Our generation, the generation before mine, my mom and dad, they were taught that when you leave this place a better place for your people, for your children, than when you came. You know what's happening? It's worse now than it's ever been. It's worse now for the kids coming in than it's ever been. They can't afford a house. They barely can afford rent. They have to work overtime. Forget vacation. What value is there in that? What kind of a life is that? Wasn't it at one time? Imagine. That was the Twilight Zone. That's who it was. Imagine, if you will, a society where you work 40 hours a week and still make enough money to have a vacation, to have a nice home, to be able to raise your kids at home. I don't know how many people can do something like that today. I don't think there's very many. I think they're caught, like I mentioned earlier, having both have to work jobs if they have children, young children that need care, they have to ship them off to a daycare center, or they ship them off to our schools, which are indoctrination centers. What a losing proposition. When I went to school, there's something else that I don't think happens in school anymore. What were the two that we were talking about? One of them was civics, and the other one was something else. Both subjects around the government, something to do with how the government works, how the government's structured, all that. I don't think they're in school anymore. They don't have shop anymore. One of my favorite things was shop. Every shop they had, I took. They had wood shop, I took it. Electrical shop, I took it. Mechanical shop, I took it. I love working with my hands. I went to typing. This is how, when you do something earlier in your life, how it pays off later. All the girls were in the typing class, and I had what did they call them? It was an optional class. They had a name for it. I don't recall what it's called. But so I chose typing so I could be with all the girls. Learn typing. Now I type at probably, realistically, probably around 100, 120 per minute, But it was because of the typing that I took. And there wasn't anything about computers back then. My gosh, we had Royal typewriters. Click, 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 right? Mechanical typewriters. They weren't even electrical. Oh, my goodness, yeah. And so we had to learn the home row keys. ASDF, JKL apostrophe, right? JKL, yeah, ASDF, right? Home row keys. You put your fingers on your home row keys, and then you can control your fingers where they go, depending upon the letters that you want. But that's your home row key. That's where your fingers stay. Yeah, this is some of the things that you do when you're younger pay off. So anyway, back to the reality of what we're dealing with. Why did I continue? I've given you my reasons. Why did I discontinue? Forgive me. Why did I discontinue my support? I give you, and that doesn't mean I would support a Democrat, and it doesn't mean I would support a liberal. I'm tired of the whole thing. The whole system needs to be reset. Everything. And like I mentioned to you earlier, maybe 5, maybe if we're lucky 5, and probably that number is going down rapidly. Tom Massey was somebody that truly cared about the people. Tom Massey said, "Why aren't we doing what we promised, Mr. President?" Tom Massey was the one who said, "We want to release all the files, Mr. President." Tom Massey got his butt handed to him in the primaries, right? Marjorie Taylor Greene. All of a sudden, Marjorie Taylor Greene is no longer Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's now Marjorie Trader Greene. Why? Because Marjorie, along with Paula, I think it was Paula, I can't remember her last name. Marjorie and Paula and Rand Paul and somebody, only 4 of them, I can't remember the 4, wanted their names to release the files. And Trump went after each one of them. Each one of them made Marjorie Taylor's life so miserable she had to drop out. I'm leaving you guys behind. I can't do this anymore. Threatened her life, threatened her children. And she says, I had a conversation with him and told him that, why aren't you releasing the files, Mr. President? They don't, the files that I've read, they don't say anything about you being involved, criminally. And I can't release them. I'm paraphrasing. I can't release them because it hurt my friends. How can you support that? The last country on the list is Iran. He knew. But yet he blatantly said no new wars. And I take you back and ask you again, why did we go to Afghanistan? Why did we go to Iraq? Why did we go to Libya? Why did we go to Syria? Why did we go to Yemen and Somalia? I believe, my opinion is, and I have fact-based reasons why my opinion. They're all a threat to Israel. They're a threat to us. I mentioned to you how they may have been a financial threat to us, and that may have brought further justification. But it wasn't about weapons of mass destruction. It wasn't about terrorism in Libya. It wasn't about him gassing his people in Syria. It wasn't about any of that. It was about the threat that these people presented with the power that they were beginning to have because they were using gold-backed currencies. Do you know that when we went into Libya, now It wasn't us directly. It was our, whatever you call them, independent contractors, whatever the hell they're called. They destroyed all kinds of stuff in Libya. Muammar Gaddafi was building an underground water supply. He wanted to turn the desert green. They destroyed all of that. Why? Of what threat could that have possibly been? Just to give you an idea of our introduction, our introduction of democracy to these people. In Libya, the dictator, as they called him, the president, Muammar Gaddafi at the time, his approval rating was well in the high 80s. He made a pledge to the people that nobody would be, how did he put it? I will not have a home until there is no homelessness in this country. He lived in a tent and they made fun of him. Why? Because he stuck to his word. There were still homeless people, and he wasn't going to live in a house until all the homeless people had a home. They blamed him for terrorism that he wasn't guilty for. They came out later and said, oh, it wasn't him, it was somebody else. In his country, if you were going to get married, you would be given a stipend of some sort. You would be paid. In his country, if you were a farmer and you needed help, they would give you all the help, all the financial help you wanted. You could grow however much you wanted to grow, and the only stipulation was you can't sell it outside the country. So it just benefits the country. If you needed farm equipment, they would be willing to give you the farm equipment on a loan that had no interest. Imagine that. We decided to go in and kill the man before the world, murder him. Just like we did with Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein has weapons of mass destruction. Saddam Hussein is doing this, he's doing that. He's gassing his people or he's poisoning his people, blah, 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 blah. What is the United States government doing to it? I played for you earlier. Geoengineering. We're being poisoned. The same thing as being gassed. We're being poisoned. The only difference is it's called a soft kill. Instead of killing you right away, it's killing you slowly. Why? So the freaking pharmaceutical companies can make money. These greedy, bite my tongue, bite hard. You think I'm making this up? I'm sad if you think I'm making any of this up. But I would ask you, go check it out for yourself. We're being soft killed. The air that we breathe is contaminated. Contaminated. The water that we drink, contaminated. The food that we eat, look at the ingredients. Look at the ingredients on cereal. Here's a good one for you. I'm trying to think of the name of it. Triphosphate something or another. TSP. Look at the ingredients in cereal. You're going to see one of them is TSP or something like it. It stands for triphosphate, if I remember. Triphosphate. This stuff is paint remover. What is it doing in cereal? You don't think they're killing us? There are more people sick in this country than there are around the world. My God. We're the only country around the world that has so much of the population on drugs, some kind of medicine. People my age are on a freaking grocery list of medicine. Not me. I drive my doctors crazy. I'm on one. They had to have a stent put in my heart. They had me on a grocery list. I told the doctor, I said, I'm not taking this forever. You have to take this for the rest of your life. Listen to me and look in my eyes because you'll know that I'm telling you the truth. I'm going to take this for a year. And after a year, I ain't taking the majority of this stuff. I take one. And soon to be no more. Because I know with every piece of medicine that they introduce to you, every one of them, I don't care what it is, there is some toxicity associated with it. Some degree of toxicity is associated with it. Why? Because a lot of the medicine is petroleum-based. That's right. They had those Afghanistani farmers growing that poppy for that heroin because some of it comes back over here to the pharmacies. They use it as a base for their crap, for the oxytocin, whatever that stuff was. So it's all about greed. It's all about money. This is what it boils down to. And power, of course, power. They want to introduce cars that now are going to do facial recognition. Of what business is it of yours? Oh, well, we're doing it so people who are inebriated, people who might be drunk or something like, so they can't drive. Baloney. They use all these excuses. It's just a further intrusion into what little freedom we have left. I'm not supporting drunk drivers by any stretch of the imagination. I think they should be treated harshly. You made the decision to drink. You made a decision to drive. And God forbid, if you had an accident and hurt somebody, the whole weight of the whole law should come down upon you. There's no excuse for that. All right, guys. Remember, before I go, I got to do this one more time. That's what happened to us. We got anal jabbed. I can't see it any other way. I truly can't see it any other way. We got it rammed up our behind, financially, emotionally, mentally. That's what it is. The only way I see out of this is reset the whole system. You got to get rid of these people. Guys, thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time to allow me to share with you. I hope that you would share with your friends. There will be a archive set up on Facebook as well as Rumble, and I believe on YouTube as well. God bless you. Love you guys. I appreciate every one of you. Be back in a week, Lord willing. The crick don't rise, my friend used to say. Good night.
Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill.